G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Andrey Koslov from Andrey Koslov, based in beautiful San Diego in the United States. Thanks for your time today, Andrey.
Yeah, appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Let's start with how we know each other. So you Googled looking for a small business podcast, and we popped up there in the search results, and you emailed and got in touch, and I thought you'd be a great guest to have on.
Yeah, well, you guys did a good job on SEO. So
Well, we haven't done any marketing yet, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that worked out.
Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
So my business is actually focused on e-commerce and specifically on the drop shipping model of the e-commerce. And that means I don't have any inventory. What I do is I actually work with Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and we source them. We use them as suppliers essentially, and we list their items on Facebook Marketplace mostly. That's where we make the most sales. And then if a customer places an order with Facebook Marketplace, then we go to Amazon and we place the order and it ships it directly to the customer.
I assume that's automated.
Yeah, I actually have a team of 9 VAs at this point. So I started the entire thing myself. So, but later as I scaled, I did realize that this is taking a good amount of work. I need help. And this is quite honestly the only way that you can scale and, not stress too much about this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And how did you start out?
Oh, man. So, well, like so many others, I went to college. I had 9-to-5 jobs. I had internship, paid, unpaid. And then my last job, it was just very stressful. I had lots of deadlines and I knew I just needed to make a change, take control of things in my life, just enjoy life a little bit more, not just 2 weeks out of the whole year and just provide.
That's insane to me, America. You only get 2 weeks holiday. I mean, that's just crazy.
Most companies are unfortunately like that. There are some companies where they say you can have like unlimited PTO, but even if you do unlimited PTO, in the end of the day, it just makes a bad impression on your work ethic in front of your managers. So it's kind of an illusion, if I'm being absolutely honest. So
there are some companies, though, I think that genuinely live that. Are you aware of Basecamp? They used to be called 37 Signals.
Okay.
They've written a couple of books, one called Remote, another one Rework. And they've got a very strong culture, even well before COVID. I think they started early 2000s. They were very remote anyway, because one business partner was in Chicago, one was in Copenhagen, and their whole team's splayed around the world. But they very much live that ethos of, take time off when you want and as long as you want, just as long as you get the work done.
Well, that's interesting. I wish I explored that company back when I was job searching, job hunting.
Yeah. So what did you study at uni and what was your career before you started this?
Yeah. So I graduated with a bachelor's in Boston, Massachusetts, in business and marketing. So it's actually double major. And then I, had unpaid internships, paid internships, but I worked in marketing and advertising field pretty much since I graduated. So, that kind of helped what I'm doing right now because, I still have to advertise my products and I have to make good ad copy, good images, good item description. So that kind of helped. So that was nice. But I knew for a fact that I wanted to build something for myself and just have that, essentially have a little bit of more flexibility and freedom just to make my own schedule, which is definitely something that I could not do when I was working at a traditional corporate America routine. So that was that. But it was not my first business. I actually started with selling T-shirts with Facebook ads. I tried to find trending designs and then I designed them, but I was spending too much money on ads. So that was the biggest issue, honestly. When you are not a well-known brand, you kind of have to invest in paid advertising, and that eats a lot into your profits. But then again, I looked at Shopify dropshipping, which is actually the traditional model that is heavily promoted everywhere on YouTube by all the gurus. Because they want you to build a website, they want you to drive paid traffic, and that's what I have been doing. But then I realized again this problem of constantly spending money on ads, and it gets tough when you have a 9-to-5 job. You have to save, and then I also had my first child who was born relatively recently at that time, so it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to make a change, and I used to sell things on Facebook Marketplace, just things I no longer needed. So I knew this platform existed, but then one day my wife told me that she saw the buy now button on Facebook Marketplace, and it was not there before. And it made me think, well, what's the purpose of this buy now button? And it turns out on Facebook Marketplace, they enabled a feature that allows people to ship items across the entire continental United States. And this is immediately when I knew I should actually try relisting my, Shopify dropshipping items that had a few sales, and I relisted them on Marketplace, and instantly I had like 2,000-3,000 clicks, and it happened in a matter of like 4 hours, maybe even less. And I did not pay for any clicks, which leads me to believe, and which led me to believe, and which is still the case, that you can essentially, especially as a dropshipper, as a person who does not have any inventory, you can list as many items as you want, and you can test as many items as you want, and essentially find your winning products without spending anything on ads.
I was going to ask, because I've never used Facebook Marketplace. I've got a friend, she's addicted to buying stuff off Facebook Marketplace. Her husband's just bought another shipping container for her to store all the shit that she buys from it. But I think they listen to this podcast. They know who I'm talking about. But so I've never used it. So Facebook don't charge you to list anything, or they don't take a cut at all?
So that is a good question. So there are two entities on Facebook Marketplace. One entity is your personal marketplace shop. And essentially what it is, anyone can do it in the United States. And I believe in the United Kingdom, they are rolling out the shipping feature. And that means essentially anyone who has a Facebook profile can open their Facebook app, click on the little marketplace icon, and they can start listing items with the shipping option. So there is no entry barrier. Which is another great feature about Facebook Marketplace. You don't need to go through, a lengthy approval process, have a website, and do all that stuff. Unlike, on Amazon or on Walmart, on other different websites. So anyone can really do that, but they would charge you 5% seller fee. But that seller fee is pretty much the lowest seller fee on US marketplaces. Because on Amazon, on eBay, on Etsy, that fee can go as high as 12%, sometimes even more. It depends on categories. So on Marketplace, this is pretty much the lowest seller fee out there, and they give you plenty of free traffic, which is great. And then the second entity is a business shop. And a business shop, it requires to have a business page, a Facebook page essentially. So, and you can convert a Facebook page into a shop, and there are no seller fees at all, 0 until June of this year. So essentially, you have more room to make profits. You don't have to pay for any ads, and all you have to pay is essentially items. That's you only pay when you get an order, which is pretty much a risk-free model for the most part. And
so Facebook's now going to start charging from June this year for the business portal.
You have 5% seller fee.
Great. Well, that's a smart move. Build the momentum in that channel and then start charging.
Yep, exactly.
And so what year did you start out, and how old were you?
So, well, I started in July of 2020. So I relisted my Shopify items in July. And then by October, I scaled to the level where it actually started paying me more than my day job. So I wanted to wait till it, starts doing so consistently. And it started doing that in August. So I just wanted to give it a few more months. And then, it was August consistently, but every single day. Then September, and then October, I finally gave my resignation letter in October, and I started focusing on this full time. I had more time. I also scaled to different platforms. Not only did I do that on Facebook Marketplace, I also opened a shop on Etsy, on eBay, and now on Amazon too. They also have Mercari in the United States. So but I did start mostly with Shopify. Then I graduated to Facebook Marketplace where I realized that that's where they have all that free traffic. And that platform allowed me to build all that capital. And it still does because I don't have to pay for any ads. And then by October of 2020, I, quit my day job. So it took only August, September, October, 4 months for me to scale to a level where it paid more than my digital marketing day job, basically.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's fantastic. And how old were you 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Okay. So I was 25. Yeah. 25 years old.
Right. And do you have any other key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business? So it started out with yourself and you've now got 9 virtual assistants. Are they all doing a 40-hour week full time?
So they're not like, a salaried type of people. I actually wanted to do a different kind of, business model for everyone. We are actually kind of commission based. So I pay my team whenever there is an order. So it's kind of like an order processing fee, if you will. So, I make money, they make money. So it's kind of a win-win. They don't have a fixed salary. It leaves everyone for a room to actually scale and make more money. So, we all honestly work every single day. But I don't make everyone, work every single day. They just do their own schedule. But so far it seems like they're very much enjoying the flexibility because again, they can set their own hours. They just do the work at their own pace. But on that note, on Facebook and any other platforms, really, you're given 3 business days to ship an item. And that means, you don't have to ship anything over the weekend. So there is a little bit more flexibility on weekends, but weekdays definitely can get busy, especially during Thanksgiving, Black Friday, all those fun holidays in the United States, which I'm sure you have heard about.
Absolutely. Any other key numbers to illustrate the growth?
Yeah, so I actually pulled those yesterday. So I started doing my accounting, my official accounting. It started as a hobby. I wasn't kind of recording everything in September and August, but I started doing official accounting in October of 2020. And basically, since then and to this date, let's see,
15 months. 18 months.
Yeah. So we have shipped 25,948 orders.
Jeez, wow.
In revenue, we have made $1,149,000, $11.56. Profit is $321,299.42. Which is about 27.9% profit margin.
That's great. And then annualized, it's about 200 grand a year profits what you're making.
So far, yes. Right now, it has been a little bit slower than average due to the recent unfortunate events. I was actually in touch with my other peers and competitors, if you will. We have a friend of a relationship, but they also report kind of the same trend. And in the United States, we had inflation, we have this, our gas prices are going up. So people are making less, impulse purchases, which is kind of, natural. It makes sense. So we just kind of have to wait it out, but we also have to adapt and think outside of the box, what kind of items, people might be buying right now that they would not be normally buying. So it's always kind of, you have to be on top of trends. So it's not like, a set and forget it. You can make it a set and forget it kind of thing. But, I like what I'm doing. So I'm actually present pretty much every single day just to help my team out and just give them directions of what kind of items they should be looking at to sell. So, yeah, but these are the numbers, about 27%, 28% profit margin.
Fantastic. Well done. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
I guess I would say when this business consistently started paying more than my day job. I would say this was the biggest turning point when I realized that this is actually doable. Because again, you can, in drop shipping, you might have a winning product, but then it dies down and then you are back to square zero, back to the drawing board. But I was working really, really hard to find a lot of winning products. So I wanted to build that portfolio of consistent income. And the key here is consistent, because, if your income from the side hustle is not consistent, then it might not be a good idea to quit your day job. So I think the point of success for me was, several months of consistent income that is exceeding than my day job. That was really that point that showed me that I can do this.
And what does success look like to you?
Oh man, I think for me, success looks like personally that, I'm looking at the numbers and I can see that the business is profitable, and that my team members, they're happy. They're happy with the work. They're happy with the pay rate. Everyone is happy. My clients are happy, because I also have my other side of the business where I run stores for them. So that's my new side business on this business, So for me personally, they're definitely looking at the numbers, making sure that the numbers are good, that we're profitable, everyone is happy. And at the end of the day, I also love what I'm doing. So I finally am doing exactly what I want to do. And in the end of the day, this opportunity also allowed me just to try other business ventures. I'm trying to do Airbnb right now with the savings from this business, and also invest into stocks and cryptocurrencies and just try different things too. So this model really opened new doors and new opportunities for me too, which is also what I love about this too.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast growing business?
If you are in the United States, I think, again, I would strongly recommend to explore Facebook Marketplace as your sales channel, because not only do you have an option to list using your personal profile, but you can also actually connect your Shopify store. So even if you are a private label, or if you have your own inventory, you don't need to pay for any advertisement whatsoever, because you can actually connect your Shopify store to Commerce Manager. And it is an official Meta, also known as Facebook, Shopify integration that allows you to leverage free organic traffic from Facebook Marketplace and not pay for any ads again. And this is, I think, is a pretty big advantage that is not known to everybody yet. Not too many people talk about it online. And I think people should know about this, because I think people should not pay for ads when there is this amazing opportunity. So I think people should definitely consider connecting their Shopify stores, or just starting with Facebook Marketplace to build this initial capital.
And how did you fund your business?
Well, how did I find it? I think, like I mentioned earlier, it was simply kind of a coincidence, because my wife was shopping on Facebook Marketplace and she saw that buy now button. So she told that to me. And that's when I realized that I should give this opportunity a shot. And I started listing my Shopify items to Facebook Marketplace. So I guess originally I started with Shopify in January, February of 2020. So, I had a few winning products, but again, I was paying for ads. So in the end of the day, I was just paying too much money for advertisements, but I was able to still carry over my Shopify items into Facebook Marketplace. So there was a little bit of a backstory there. But even if I didn't have a Shopify store, the people and my students who I try to teach exactly this method, they still find good success just starting out on Facebook Marketplace originally without any prior knowledge.
And funding the business, I guess, wouldn't have taken much cash to get this going. It's just
not really. Honestly, you can leverage credit cards, because the thing to keep in mind with when you are selling on platforms, normally there is this payout period. And the payout period normally takes, 5 days after delivery. That is the case with Facebook Marketplace. Usually they would pay you once you provide the tracking number, and the tracking number has to be a valid tracking number. So once you do that, you get paid 5 days after that happens. So, you kind of need to mentally give yourself 2 weeks for a payment to arrive once you mark an item as shipped. So there will be a delay. And this is why you definitely need to consider leveraging your credit cards, because, you can pay for orders with your credit card. But again, as soon as Facebook gives you your payout, essentially you can, cover up the balance and still be profitable. And essentially you don't need to leverage anything upfront.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because not only I would probably still run advertisement, because you can still leverage free traffic and not pay for any ads. But on top of that, even if you have a bigger funding, you can still consider running advertisements to your best-selling products and scale even further from there. Because again, the biggest problem with like drop shipping and e-commerce business, and especially the drop shipping business, is you might not know what your winning product is upfront without testing. But with Facebook Marketplace, you can essentially test your products and find that winning product, and then you can run ads on the product that you know is a winning product for sure. So if I had lots of funding upfront, definitely I would do exactly what I was doing. I would list items on Facebook Marketplace. I would find my winning product, and only then I would boost or run promotions on that winning product that I know is a winning product. And that's what I would do.
Can you outline the most stressful point in the small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Yeah, learning point, I would say you have to keep in mind that this opportunity is a US UK based opportunity. So if you are traveling outside of the United States, you need to invest into remote desktop, because if you take your laptop with you, or if you try to access Facebook outside the United States, Facebook will essentially block your marketplace sales channel, and you will stop getting orders, revenue. I made this mistake. I tried using VPN, and that made things even worse. Facebook locked me out of my account because they thought, someone is trying to hack my account because of different IP addresses. So that was not pleasant. I actually lost revenue for almost a month because I was blocked for a month.
Yep.
So you have to keep that in mind, and you also have to diversify and not depend on Facebook by itself. That's why I'm doing Etsy, Amazon, eBay, and all those other sales channels, just for diversification purposes. And in case this happens, which I hope it doesn't happen to any of you, but definitely if you are in the United States, and if you do travel abroad, you do need to invest into remote desktop access so that you can leave your PCs in the United States and just access them remotely. And if you're not in the United States, then you have to keep in mind that whatever I'm saying right now, this is optimized for US residents and for UK residents, because Facebook is essentially asking people to provide their social security numbers and a valid US or UK bank checking account. Because if you don't have that, then then it will be a little bit tough. You will have to essentially find maybe a friend or a business partner in the United States or in the UK who can help you out.
Just back on that reliance on Facebook in particular, are you looking at diversifying your risk even further by building an email list? I'm not sure if it's relevant for the products you sell, but are you building an email list that you can then market to people?
Exactly. On business shops on Facebook, there is a feature to grab customer email addresses. So essentially, not only can you leverage the free marketplace sales channel, but you can also build a free email list, which is a pretty unique opportunity too. So you can do that too, in addition to everything else that I'm talking about.
And so you've got email campaigns going out as well to market to.
So we honestly haven't leveraged that as much. I'm still building the list. I want to get it to a couple thousand first, and then I want to send out an offer and see what happens. But that is in the works for sure.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
I would say that would likely be product research. Product research, because in our dropshipping business, it kind of is based on consumer demand and on market demand. Very often what will happen is one item, the demand for that item just goes down. So you, like I mentioned earlier, you kind of have to stay up on your feet, and you have to constantly keep up with trends and know what's going on with the market and what might be in demand right now. So I think for me personally, I'm focused more on business development and product research aspects of it. And now, because I started my automation business, I also work with clients who I help run their shops.
Yep.
So not only do I run my shops with my team, but we also run other people's shops for them. So I'm also doing a little bit of client services, if you will. So
and that you're not providing an online course to help people replicate what you're doing. You're doing this more coaching.
I do both. I have a Udemy course, so people can find it online. I have like 400 people who enrolled in the course. It's relatively inexpensive, so people can learn from it. But like I mentioned earlier, everyone has to keep in mind that this is really optimized for US residents, what I'm teaching in the course. So that will be a very important disclaimer.
Yes. Yeah.
And same for coaching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe what web address can they go to if someone's interested in having a look at that course if they're in the US?
Yeah, so actually, if you guys find me on Instagram, I have this little thing called Linktree, and the Linktree has all the useful links. Right. Because not only do I have a course, we do have a free Discord group chat where people can connect with me and ask questions, and it's everything is free. I try to give as much knowledge as I can to people. But yes, people can just go to my Instagram channel and find all the links, including the course. So I can share that Instagram handle with you.
That'd be great.
So
we'll put in the show notes. Yeah,
sure.
And what have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Yeah, that is an excellent question too. I think I enjoyed the least hitting the credit card limit too quickly. Because it is absolutely amazing when you can hit 100 plus orders every single day. That is what happened to us in Q4 of 2021. So we did a good amount of daily orders, but I realized that my credit card limit was not nearly enough to cover all those purchases. And I made a mistake. I did not invest into a card that has, unlimited spending balance. And I, learned about that card later after Q4. So that was my biggest mistake, not realizing that this card existed. Now I have this card, so I will see what happens in Q4 of 2022. But the biggest thing that I did not enjoy is I had to, essentially this limited the growth of the entire business because I hit the credit card limit too quickly. I had to, scale down essentially. I scaled up, but then I hit the limit and I had to scale down, put things out of stock. And this created a big issue because we couldn't make as much money as we potentially could have made because there were all those credit limits in place.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
I love the skills that you get to learn by growing it because there are a lot of unexpected problems and issues that can arise when you're managing a small business. And especially when you were doing this e-commerce business, because, I started doing everything by myself. So I had to learn proper business accounting skills. And then I had to learn how to train my virtual assistants. And, then there were account suspensions, account bans. You have to learn how to appeal. You have to understand the rules, the policies. There are a lot of problems and you have to be solution focused. And I think I like being solution focused, which can be kind of a discouragement for people because, owning a business can be really tough because you have to be solution focused. It's very easy, I feel like, for people to be problem focused. And if you are problem focused, then, doing business gets really tough because lots of problems can arise. And I think it's true for any business that people start. And that's also what I love about running a small business. You get to learn all the skills and you kind of become stronger as a person. And I think you become wiser as a person too, honestly. You just get to acquire all the skills and essentially in the end of the day. So that's what I really love. And of course, the financial freedom and freedom to do all those other things that it provides if you run the business properly. So that is a nice bonus.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Biggest mindset shift. I would say when I started doing things by myself, I realized shortly that if I keep doing everything by myself, then there would be no opportunities to scale because there is only so much room so much time that you as a person have, especially when you're running the business from A to Z to do everything. So I think the biggest mindset shift for me was to start delegating my tasks to other people, essentially, in order for me to scale and in order for the business to keep growing. The mindset shift for me was to learn how to delegate everything what I'm doing to other people.
What is the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
I would say consistency and being solution focused. I think these two key areas, especially being consistent. I think being consistent is something that I'm still struggling sometimes, even if it's not business related, just, doing a workout every single day, or, I think it's kind of even human nature. Being consistent, especially with the business, I think it pays off in the long run. I also made a mistake by not having like a calendar. So it was kind of like sporadic. I was spread out. I was scattered everywhere. But then I just made this goal to be consistent every single day. I started doing the calendar. And in that calendar, I consistently, every single day, I set goals for the day. I set goals for the week. I knew exactly what I was doing today, tomorrow, later this week, next week. And I think this really helped me stay organized, and it helped me and the business actually grow in a better direction, because I was not scattered. I had better direction and I had better vision where the business should go, because I was consistent. And definitely solution focused is also very important. Like I mentioned earlier, lots of issues and problems can arise. So you really need to try different things, don't give up, and you have to be solution focused for sure.
Find it hard to define a clear strategy, then communicate it and execute it alongside the rest of your team? Or you currently don't work a simple quarterly strategic plan to boost your team's performance? Our Business Growth Formula online course is perfect for small business owners with 5 to 30 team members wanting to grow. We share the mindsets, habits and tools to be a legendary leader in your business. growsmallbusiness.com.
Can you talk how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes and advice for those listening?
Yeah, so my process was relatively interesting, I guess. I actually, because before this business, I had an online dating business where I helped manage people's Tinder profiles, Bumble profiles, I gave Cupid profiles. So, people gave me login password credentials, and I logged in and I did everything for them until the time where platforms started banning people who did that practice. So that didn't work out, but that's actually when I met my first freelancer, and I met her on Fiverr. And that's actually where I hired most people on Fiverr. And what's good thing about Fiverr is you can read reviews about freelancers. So I read the reviews, I then set up an interview, I carefully interviewed the person. And then essentially, we worked for a long time. We worked almost for a year. And then I proposed to her if she could consider hiring some of your friends or close friends if they would be interested in doing something like that. And this way she is able to invite someone who she personally knows, who trusts, and we all feel good, and we all essentially feel good about what we're doing. So it's kind of I started with Fiverr, but then later on it was more of word of mouth kind of hiring, because I try to keep it kind of informal and flexible for everyone. So that's how I approach this. But of course, we had people who did not do too good of a job. So I gave them a trial run before fully onboarding them. I gave them like 2 weeks if they can just do the project that I assigned them to do. If they can consistently show me that they're doing it correctly, they don't need my guidance as much, then I can bring them fully on board and start paying them that commission fee. So that's how I approach it. And this way, if they don't do a good job within 2 weeks, then it's just not a good fit. That's what I do typically.
It's a great step, which I think a lot of small business owners don't know about or think about, is give someone a project before you actually hire them or offer them a contract. Because a lot of people won't even submit the project, or they will miss the deadline. You don't want either of those groups of people. And then if they do get it in on time, you can then assess the quality of their work before you've got them in the business.
Yeah, this is actually a practice that's widely used in hiring process in corporate America.
Yep.
So that's where I learned it from. Typically, when you apply for like marketing jobs, they give you like a project
Yep.
that you have to complete before they hire you. So that worked out.
And what are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with growth?
Yeah. So on this question, I think what I personally like to do is, again, I don't like the concept of salaries, and I like the concept of flexibility, which is why um, I'm doing this commission-based model where everyone is able to make unlimited amount of money if we all put in the work. So essentially, it gives everyone the motivation to do better work, to do more hours if they feel the need to do so, because they don't feel there is a cap, a salary cap in the end of the day. So they're able to essentially be motivated themselves to put in more work, more hours. And I don't have any schedule that people should follow. I don't ask them to start at 9, stop at 5. They just do whatever, as long as the work gets done. It's a win-win for me. And with our business model, the more orders we have, the more money all of us make in the end of the day. So that's how I approach it.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I referring to like work-life balance or something else?
Yep.
Yeah, so sometimes it gets a little bit tough because in e-commerce business, something can arise unexpectedly, even, unlike a 9 to 5 job when, you can be done after 5 p.m. When you do have your own business, especially in e-commerce. Something might happen when you are when you're done working, when you think you're done working. Maybe a customer doesn't get an item, or they start complaining, or God forbid you get suspended from a platform. Then you just have to take a break and get back to work, and then work on appeals, do all of that. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen, which is, again, I think in my business especially, you kind of can be working, doing weird hours. I try to stop work after 4 p.m. I try to set my calendar so that I finish my work after 4 p.m. But sometimes you just never know. Something can happen after 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. and then I just have to go back to it. So I think work-life balance can get a little bit tough in our business because in e-commerce something can happen unexpectedly.
Yeah. How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
So, I try to personally stay up to date with what's happening in, the Facebook Meta business. I every single day just monitor what's happening on Meta ecosystem. I read product trends. I have like subscriptions, and they every single week. And then there is another subscription that sends every single month product trends, market trends, so that I can check what's happening in the market, get an idea of what kind of products might be selling based on those subscription trends. And then, there are Google Trends, which is a free tool that anyone can use to look up, anything that's trending. So honestly, every single day, I try to educate myself what's happening, see if I can find, winning products. I need to do a better job on listening to more podcasts, but I try to listen to my YouTube gurus, every once in a while, a few times per week, what they have to say. So, and then, because I also have my Discord community that I organized a few months ago, we also exchange knowledge, what we're testing, what we're doing every single day, so people can just learn from each other essentially every single day. So that's what we are doing.
Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
Not really. I learned everything by myself by watching YouTube videos and then trial and error on Facebook Marketplace by myself. So it's all me.
And I'm guessing you don't have board of directors or advisors?
I'm the only board of director and advisor.
All right, Andrey, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Yeah, I think the beginning stages can be really tough because, I think there are several ways how people can approach starting a small business. Some people can, quit their job and start the small business from scratch. I don't prefer to take such risks. So I personally did that on the side. So it was personally pretty hard for me because, I had my 9 to 5 and then 5 to 12 was my building a startup thing. And I had to do it I started in January of 2020 with Shopify, and then I continued with Facebook Marketplace in July. So I have been doing it for at least 6 to 7 months before I was able to quit my day job. So that was really hard, I think, for me, was to, like I mentioned earlier, being consistent, dedicating those hours every single day after a day job. And I had a newborn. So, I had my family responsibilities. I had a day job, which was pretty stressful. So I think starting small business can be tough, but if you do it consistently and if you have your schedule, if you do your little calendar, and if you set daily goals for your business, for example, with Facebook Marketplace, my goal was to list like 3 to 5 new products daily. That's what I have been doing. And that's how I was able to scale, because every single day after my day job, I just came in and I was listing and listing and listing. And I consistently was doing that. But again, I was doing it by myself, so it was pretty hard. But then once things scaled and I was comfortable quitting my job, I knew that it was time to hire a person, and then it was easier and easier and easier. So I think early stages can definitely be hard, because if you're starting by yourself and without a business partner, you kind of have to be the jack of all trades. But as time progresses, it does get easier, especially if you are seeing results, if you are sticking to it, and if you're hiring people, then in no time you will be scaling. Just make sure you dedicate yourself and you have that passion for the business, and you should be good.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Poor Dad, Rich Dad.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. It's a great book. Have you read his follow-up book to that, Cash Flow Quadrant?
Oh yeah, I read that one. I think there was another one. He had a few. I forget the other one. The Cash Flow Quadrant was the second one after the Poor Dad, Rich Dad. Yeah.
I read the other day, he owns something like 18,000 properties around the world.
Yeah. He is pretty good with real estate.
Yeah. No, it's a great, both those books are great.
Yeah, but that was the book that changed my mindset. I remember clear as day, I was reading. Well, I was listening to the audiobook. So, I was doing this every single day when I was commuting to work. I was just listening to the audiobook, and, just it made me think that there are better ways to make an income and not depend on a paycheck, essentially, which is what's essentially being promoted in the book. And it, contributed to everything that I'm doing, basically. Definitely Poor Dad, Rich Dad. I recommend this one.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
Yeah. So I do like this podcast. I started listening to it relatively recently. The Side Hustle Show, they have a good amount of podcasts over there, and it's not restricted to e-commerce. They do get perspective on all sorts of businesses. So there is that show, and I believe it is also a US based show. And I also like, there is this guy called Joe Rogan.
Yes.
So I do like his interviews with prominent entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, just having to listen every once in a while.
They're just so bloody long. They're over 2 hours though. Some are 6 hours.
They are. I cannot commit to do it in one piece. I just have to listen when I have free time.
Yep.
But honestly, any other podcast where I'm able to just listen in to whether it's Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, what they have to say, it's just good. I'm keeping an open mind to podcasts, so it's not just one. I try to listen into a few, but I would say I was spending a little bit more time following my YouTube people, so I do have to work a little bit on my podcast game in the future.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
In my industry, I would recommend Google Trends and eBay. On eBay, they do have a free tool called eBay Therapy, and it is actually a product research tool that shows you exactly how many units are selling every single day, or last 7 days, or last 365 days. It shows you all the data. It's free. I made a mistake by paying for those tools, and then I realized that the same exact tools are available for free. So in my industry, I would recommend the eBay product research tools and Google Trends, and on Facebook Marketplace, you can also do the same exact tool, and it doesn't cost any money. You can see exactly what's selling on Facebook Marketplace. So don't pay for anything. You can do everything for free.
Finally, my favorite question: what would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Can you repeat that one?
Final and my favorite question: what would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Okay, what would I tell myself? Yeah, I would probably say hire a virtual assistant sooner than I did it. I feel like I was waiting too long to do that because I was feeling very uncomfortable. I was, it was out of my comfort zone to just, share the work that I was doing with someone else because I wasn't trusting them. I had that fear of not trusting someone, completely random. So I think the personal advice to myself was just hire a team sooner than what I did. That would scale my business even quicker and maybe even more money.
Well, thanks for your time today, Andrey. I think the audience get a lot of value out of what you shared with us. Congratulations. That's phenomenal growth in the last 18 months. Bit over 1 million top line and 350 in profit, about 27% net profit. That's great. And congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.